We could see a settlement today between the North Carolina Board of Elections and the U.S. Justice Department over voter registration. Back in May, the government filed a lawsuit against the state board alleging a violation in federal law by not requiring certain information on voter registration records. The 2002 Help America Vote Act requires people registering to vote provide a driver's license number or the last 4 digits of a social security number.
The North Carolina Board of Elections acknowledged the voter registration form did not make that requirement clear back in 2023. It updated the form, but didn't contact people who registered in the last 20 years and were missing those numbers. State election officials rolled out a program last month to contact voters by mail who need to update that type of information. The settlement could now head to a federal judge as early as tomorrow.
All right, joining us now, our chief legal analyst, Khalif Rhodes. Khalif, they could reach a settlement, but also parties like the NAACP want to get involved here as well, saying, well, if we settle, there's worries about people getting removed off the voter registration that shouldn't be removed. Where do you stand on this?
Well, there's a number of different questions even in that right there that you threw out there. So I'll start with the first thing. There's a complaint that's always started. I mean, you'll have a party, you'll have a defendant. The party in this case, or the parties, I should say, will be the state of North Carolina and the Department of Justice. And then those other folks that are attempting to get in this lawsuit, they're called interveners. They're attempting to intervene. Who do we got? NAACP, Democratic National Committee, League of Women Voters of North Carolina. Those are folks that want to intervene, want to be added, or as asking the court to allow them to be a party in this complaint. The Department of Justice is saying, no, you guys don't have any standing in this complaint. You have nothing to do with this. There's no issue that will affect you. And because there's no issue that affects you, we don't need to hear from you. Court, you don't need to hear from them. So they filed motions to request that they be denied entry into the claim. The interveners have filed motions to the court stating why they should be added, specifically that they represent and speak on behalf of the hundreds of thousands of plus folks that are in their contingencies, and they believe if they don't have a voice in this race, then those folks will be removed from the rolls, as you mentioned, without them having a say. In terms of the agreement, this typically happens. Judges want to manage and maintain a efficient courtroom, and so they put dates on things. Okay, we have a date that your complaint and your response is due. We have a date that depositions and interrogatories, that discovery process will be due. We'll have a date for motions, and then at some point we'll have a trial date. Well, in between there's a lot of continuances. Your Honor, we need to continue this case because we may need to talk to these people another number of times. Need to continue this case because my witness disappeared. Whatever the case may be, the judge can either grant or deny it. With this, we're having the same thing. They're asking, Judge, continue your deadline for the 28th because we are close to a deal. We're really, really close. And if you can continue this out, we can get this thing settled so then we don't have to take this to trial. The judge would want to know, well, how close are you? Are you this close? Or are you this close? I mean, and I've had judges, when I clerked for them, that would do that. Hey, I'm willing to grant this, but if you guys were miles apart and now you're feet apart or you're inches apart, that really matters. And I'm not going to mess up this schedule because you guys think you're close.
Khalif, let's go back in the Wayback Machine. Let's go all the way back to November, December. You remember when we had the disputes going on for the Supreme Court race here? You had Allison Riggs, Jefferson Griffin. 250 almost voter registrations were being tossed up in the air. The GOP was challenging all those. Does what's going on now, will that help clear up all disputes from all that? Are we done with it, or are we still in some gray areas?
Well, his concession, Griffin's concession, kind of cleared the air for that anyway. However, he was talking about 60,000 voters, not just 250 votes. Yeah. That's how much they were separated with. But he wanted to go back and look at all of these folks. And the Board of Elections has already said, look, we've addressed 20,000. We've reached out to those folks. We've cured and completed those people's information. Because what the allegation was is that because they didn't comply with that Help America Vote Act, what would occur is that people would have an opportunity to vote that shouldn't. And that's what the Board of Elections is saying, no, we still gave them a voter number. We still went back and verified. They just didn't submit their driver's license information at the time of registering. But at the time of voting, it was still accurate. The problem with Griffin's process is that he attempted to say none of those votes should be counted in real time after they've already were submitted. I think, because this is the same judge, this judge has already addressed that. I think because all of these are kind of connected, he'll say that one is a set-aside issue, and this one will help. The overarching question is, have you got the information you're required to get for these voters?
All right, again, our chief legal analyst, Khalif Rhodes, weighing in on that for us. Khalif, thank you.
Queen City News Plus. Just search Queen City News on your smart TV's app store.